Um, you can. We're starting to record here.
Okay.
Um, I'm Reza Colwyn. I'm back with Melissa Gallagher for our second part of our video here.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you perfectly.
Okay. I can't
Um,
see you, but
oh, you can't
okay.
see. I assure you, I can see you.
Okay.
Here's the thing: when you watch the videos later, you'll see that I'm there. It's just
Okay.
sometimes Skype doesn't always pick up me when the sometimes
Oh, okay.
like the first
Okay.
time you probably saw me. Um,
Okay.
so is what's an episode to you, a black and white episode that you feel is underrated? It doesn't get talked about enough.
Underrated.
Yes.
I'm gonna say an underrated episode. I'm gonna have to say it's a tie between the very first one, and I
Yeah.
think that you also love that episode too.
Yeah.
The very first episode on the train, with Victoria Winters, and then she meets Burke on the train, and she meets Roger up on Widow's Hill, and there's something about that episode that just brings it all to fruition.
Mhm.
Um, and then I'm gonna say also it's that episode where he's with Vicky talking about the construction of the old house.
Yeah.
I just love that episode.
And they're
Because everybody
comparing.
focuses on the Liz one, where he meets Liz. The
Yeah.
movies are focused on that, but the one right after it is really where he goes into, um, coming back home and talking about, the history of the house and talking to Josette for the first time.
Yeah. He too, when they're having a conversation in the old house, Vicky and Barnabas, they're talking about the pyramids of Egypt, and
Yes.
this is where Vicky says that the pyramids were designed to be tombs,
Yes.
and he goes, "You're right. This place wasn't designed to be a tomb," and it's like,
And then that look on his face through the
yeah,
banister. Yeah. Like, oh my God, but I'm
it,
making it a tomb because
it's
I'm
beautiful.
here.
It's
Oh, it's
beautiful.
beautiful writing. Yeah, the writing. Oh my God, it's so
and
good.
and Fred's face too. It's not just his words.
Yeah,
His face is selling that.
his
Yeah,
face says it all.
yeah. He's gonna make this a tomb. And you're
Yep.
right. First episode, which that's number one on my list too. The first episode because of
Yeah,
the
I thought it would
lighting,
be.
really too, from the lighting to the train to the darkness of the train stop where
Mhm.
Burke and Vicky get dropped off is
Yeah,
really, it's sort of this foreboding sense of darkness to come of
yeah, it
of
is.
because you get it again, you're getting a lot of different character interactions because when Vicky comes in and when Burke comes into the hotel, Burke by Conrad Bain's character, Mr. Wells, and he said, I wired for 3 rooms. And Vicky gets it right away that, hey, they know each other. And when she
Yeah,
says it, and Conrad Bain's character, Mr. Wells, is like, yep, ever since he was this high, ever since he was a little kid. And then you get Maggie Evans and the interaction. She goes, you were also a jerk. Jerk.
I know, that's so funny. That is so funny when Maggie, seeing Maggie, in that red wig, and
Yeah.
she's like serves Vicky and says, "You're a jerk. You're a jerk for being a Collinwood." I was like, "What the heck? Who is this person? This isn't our Maggie.
But
You're working up a Collinwood. You're a jerk."
but in every way,
What?
but in every way, it is too because
Yeah,
she's very sassy,
sassy. Yeah,
and you
Maggie
love
is
her for it.
sassy.
You
Yeah,
love her for it,
yeah.
and so it's so good to see this. Here's this character who's so sweet and innocent, like Victoria, and here's Maggie, who's this sassy girl.
I was just watching that episode right before I came on with you. That's amazing. And I was laughing my ass off at that.
Yes.
You're a jerk.
And we get inside the blue whale too. That that
Yeah,
we get Burke and his private investigator
yeah,
and their conversation inside the blue whale when there's all those people dancing around,
yeah,
which I like. Um, and you hear Burke say, "Well, perhaps she's getting a housekeeper. That girl has no idea what she's in for." And when you see that's the real creepy part is when Vicky knocks on the door, you see Lisa open, and it feels so like the approach to the house feels so dark.
it
And
does.
even when the door's
Yeah,
open, it feels even darker. It's like, oh Jesus, run! Just
yeah, run.
you just want to scream at Vicky, run, girl, run.
I know, I know. And what do you think about when Maggie first meets Barnabas and he leaves his cane at the diner?
I like the part. I like how darkly lit because
Yeah, it is.
we hadn't seen too many times the inside of the inn being dark.
No,
We've seen it be where nobody's around. We've seen the where the phone booth is, or where Conrad Bain's character Mr. Wells would stand to greet
yeah,
people, but we never saw it completely blacked out, like pitch
right.
black. In that episode, we really first see it. Now, what I really love with it, yes, the lighting's great. Don't get me wrong, but I love the fact when the lights go back on, when she turns the lights back on for the kitchen, the dining room, if you will,
Yeah.
the wolves. When she hears the wolves
Oh,
howling,
yeah.
it all that build up to where she was in the dark, where Barnabas
Yes.
scares her, and in going back in and then hearing the wolves, all that was built up perfectly.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was like a symphony, like I said.
Yeah,
The writing is like a sheet of music. And is there an episode that you think is underrated? Are you gonna?
the first one definitely,
Yeah, I agree.
and the first the first time we actually get um I know it's again it doesn't seem as important now compared to what we get,
Hmm.
but the very first time that we actually meet Sarah Johnson and
Mm,
being interviewed about Bill Malloy's death, and simply
um,
because the character isn't this brightly lit character. You get
yeah,
the sense that this character has a bit of darkness to her. And the
right.
lighting is sort of presenting that mood over her. It's not just her wearing all black.
Yeah,
It's there's because she's in the sheriff's office. Look at
yeah,
how the sheriff, I think it's Sheriff Patterson, is lit
sure, yeah,
compared to sort of how her character is somewhat lit.
yeah.
I think this is done on purpose. And I love
Um,
it's very, to me, that's very underrated. It doesn't,
it
it,
is.
long before she becomes this spy for Burke, that you get the sense there's a short sort of gray to the character.
Right,
And
right.
I love, because of, not just because of her performance. Yes, Clarice Blackburn was great,
She was, yeah.
but the way they did maybe it's me, maybe I'm crazy.
No, no, there's a famous director, a Hungarian director, who did many movies for Warner Brothers named Michael Curtiz. I'm sure you've heard of him. And he did like Mildred Pierce,
Okay.
and he did some Errol Flynn movies. I love Errol Flynn. Anyway, he was really famous for his lighting effects. So he would have, like in Mildred Pierce, this movie with Joan Crawford, they would be near the ocean, and you could see the ocean dancing on the ceiling, and he used lighting a lot like Dark Shadows does. Like certain characters would be lit a certain way based on their motives or based on their aura, and Dark Shadows had some real talent on it in regards to that. Because this guy won awards, and I would have loved to have seen some of this talent have won awards,
Yeah.
because between the actors and the lighting and And like I said, in these early days, you didn't hear things drop or hammers or anything like that, and in the background. It was a very quiet set, and there's just nothing like it. Like I said, I have a tough time choosing
Did
sometimes
you
when I'm streaming if I want
did
the
you
beginning or the regular.
did you notice too with the blue whale
Yeah,
that it's though it's lit too, it's somewhat dark too. Even with
yeah,
like not too many people in it, there's sort of like this dark tone to the ballroom.
there really is.
It
There really
and
is.
then like because it's like the outside of the dock now, when we finally see the outside of the blue well and in
Yeah,
the darkness, that was creepy.
yeah,
But then when you go inside and you see how sort of there's these dark corners in the blue whale, and then even it's just like holy shit, like everything feels like this. You're getting this sense of not necessarily danger, but prepared danger. Something could happen here,
right,
which
right.
is so like great. You for a show to build that kind of attention to detail and anticipation was so great. And the
It
way
was.
he did it with the lighting, with the actors and the writing, it all fit. It was all perfect, and it still is.
It still is. Yeah, I hope that more people get into the black and white dark shadows, and
Absolutely.
and even some of those. I know it starts always with Barnabas and Willie, the great John Carlin opening the coffin. Boy, what an actor he is, huh? But I hope that people take a look at like the very beginning episodes, and there's just some real gems.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, Mitch Ryan was so special. I know we lost him not long ago.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that he was so good as the big brother, first getting vengeance and the big brother. And then when Anthony George came in, I thought he was good for the romantic Burke,
Yeah.
because then it became more of a romantic, softer Burke in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
he was still suspicious of Barnabas, but he became more romantic with Vicky. So I thought it fit nicely. But I would have liked to have seen, you know, Mitch Ryan more, because what a presence.
Yeah. What did you
Um,
think? The first episode they do in color is when after Maggie escapes from one cliff with the help of Sarah, the ghost of Sarah. She
oh,
walks
she walks into the blue
blue
whale,
whale.
right?
Now they do this in black and white the first time, but when they come
Okay,
back with the next episode, it's in color,
color.
and you see all the bright colors. What did you think of that? Did you prefer the black and white or the color?
Well, I'm always going to prefer black and white,
Yeah,
but it
me
was
too.
very fitting. You too, yeah. But it was very fitting for this episode
Yeah,
because this is when everybody realized, oh my God, Maggie is alive and she's stumbling into the blue whale. And Barnabas is extremely nervous and tries not to look at her. Um, but it's almost fitting that it burst into color right now because this is when the transition will take place. And Barnabas will be on the journey to becoming more, having more of a heart and becoming more human, and Maggie will get better. And it's almost like this is a turning point, and everybody knows she's alive, and so it's kind of a turning point. The color kind of makes sense, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. It does too. You're right
You know
because
what I mean? Yeah.
with this episode, we hadn't because up until this point, for those who have never watched Dark Shadows, we had never seen a color episode until now.
Right.
So, and what happens? Maggie's out of Wincliffe.
Yeah.
She's coming back into Collinsport, coming back into other people's lives where everybody except for Joe and Sam and Dr. Dave Woodard thought she was dead.
Yeah.
And I love the line by Fritz Barnabas, a cruel trick has been played on us all. And it's
Yeah.
really, really good.
It's really good.
It's like, yeah, you're a hypocrite, but okay. But well, no, it's like I love too how he goes out and looks for the little girl, and he's like, no, there's no girl out. He shakes his head, no. And
Yeah,
it's, again, the first color episode is really good. Like
it is.
it doesn't miss a beat. It doesn't miss anything. It's picking up
No.
right where Dark Shadows left off, and
Yeah.
everybody is just finger snap, encore, encore, like really good. The black
Yeah.
and white, I think what the black and white episodes do so well compared to the colors, when they do lighting, you more see the lighting. You see the lights go out. You'll see, not that you don't in black and white, but when it happens in black and white, you're already getting the sense there's a dark tone.
Right.
Well, then there's a darker tone, and then there's a darker tone here. With the color episodes, what's so interesting about them, where they, I think they work a lot harder, is with those episodes, is even harder if that was possible, is, well, now even more is on the actors, with, because if you, with the black and white episodes, we were seeing the facial expressions too, but now
Yeah.
you got to do them even more, because hey, we're not, it's, they're not going to go back to black and white a bunch more times. They do black and white episodes. They don't
Right.
completely cut black and white out.
No, yeah, they go back to them for a little
Yeah,
while.
but there
Yeah.
is going to be that moment where they just stop doing them.
Yeah.
But I really, really like how, again, the transition was smooth. I don't think,
Yeah, it was fitting.
right.
Hmm. And I love
Um,
how the announcer goes, "Dark Shadows now in color." You know, will now be recording in color. I love that
right.
announcer. And I like how he always goes, "Stay tuned for that girl,"
It
and
really, it really looked good. Like when you look at
yeah.
the entrance in black and white, and then you look at it in color, it really did look a little more lively in color. Like
Hmm.
I do, that's the one thing I did like. I did prefer in color was the entrance,
Right.
which
Right.
sounds weird because I was so used to seeing it in black and white.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like I think you got the same effect with the ocean and stuff, but to
Right.
actually see the color of the ocean and then it hit the rocks again,
Yeah.
with the color, it was nice.
It's
Um,
special.
is
Yeah.
there anything you want to add before we go?
I just want to hear you articulate just a little bit on Dennis Patrick and what you thought of
Oh, God.
that whole with him trying to pull one over on Liz with Paul Stoddard being buried and all that. What you thought of that?
I really think there's. This is how I put the whole Jason McGuire thing. And I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
There's a lot of meat on that bone they could play with
Yeah.
and have a prequel with Paul, Jason, and even
They
Willie,
could. That'd be
where
good.
Willie meets Jason after Paul. Because remember, James Hall's Willie Loomis
Yeah.
comes in with Jason McGuire,
Yeah.
and so you know that Jason knew Paul, not Willie knew Paul. And I think that's
Right.
something too when you go back and you watch those episodes. That's
Hmm.
something a lot of fans, like if you're not a fan of DS, that's something you really need to pick up on because it is important
Yeah.
that Paul and Jason have the relationship, not Willie, Jason, and Paul.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Jason has a relationship with Willie, but the three of them, no, that's just Jason and Paul. And
Yep.
Jason to me more seems like a people person than what Paul did.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I take away too from Jason, compared, because even Liz sort of hints at how Paul was this shrewd asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. She does. She really does. Whenever when Carolyn asks about him, she's like, "Oh, you know what?" She's like, She's trying to make it pleasant, but it's not. Yeah,
Excuse me, sorry about that.
it's okay.
Um,
Bless you.
but right, she's like, no, you don't really want to know about your dad. And then Jason's like boasting
Yeah.
him up. Liz is like looking at him like, do not, like, she wants to backhand him.
Yeah.
It's like, but I really love Dennis Patrick's just flamboyant chemistry with this role.
Yes. And the
He's really,
chemistry.
He's really good, and
He is.
him and Joan Bennett do not miss a beat with each other.
No, they
And
really
it's
work well together.
yeah,
You could tell they liked each other. Yeah.
they were gold. And
Yeah.
what adds to it, to I think with James Hall's performance as Willie, is the
Hmm.
danger that James Hall's Willie Loomis presents.
Yeah, it was
Not
good.
to just Carolyn and Vicky, but to Jason as well, because now
Yeah.
Willie has just shown to Jason, "Well, I told you I didn't want you up here. Now I can't trust you because you just showed up."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think there's a before Barnabas ever gets released, there's a really, really great acting going on.
There is. There really is. Yeah, I appreciate James Hall rendition too.
You do
They're
too.
different, but I appreciate it. Like one is more southern and one is a little bit more of a, northern boy, but they're both punks.
I
And
think
and I like yeah, I like how he portrayed it. It was different. But I appreciated it,
I
you
think
know.
I think John Carlin picked up where James Hall pretty much left off. It may
He
have been a
he
different
did.
accent,
Yeah.
but I think he's the same type of character. But again, James Hall, where James Hall lays the groundwork is the creepiness around the women, the
Right.
mistrust around Jason, and really Jason plays to this later when Willie's like asking questions about the family jewels. Like he's had enough of it. Again, all
Yeah.
that build up is sort of built around not just John Carlin, but around what James Hall has done.
Right.
Again, every action on Dark Shadows is like a domino effect of one another.
Yeah. You're
Like
right.
build here, knock down,
Yep.
and that previous knockdown domino that knocked the next one down has something to
Yeah.
do with it.
Yeah. Exactly. I love Joel hearing you articulate it. It's you're very intelligent and it's really fun to
Well,
listen
so
to
are
you.
you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I love having
Yeah,
fun
really.
talking Dark Shadows. I got to get Patrick back on here.
I know. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah.
But
And I want to know the viewers, what's your
yeah,
favorite guys, what's your favorite character in black and white and what's
yeah.
your favorite era of black and white? I want to see some comments and get you guys involved and
Is it, well? Here's a question, not just for the audience, but for you as well.
yeah.
Is there an error you wish they would have done in black and white that they didn't do?
Ooh, that's a good question. Huh. I think a second here. An era in black and white that was in color.
Yeah,
Well, I think you're gonna say maybe 95 the destruction of Collinwood
yeah.
with Judah
95.
Zachary.
Yeah,
I know that's what you're gonna say.
95
Um
is going to be my pick. Yep.
yeah, I knew it. I knew it. Yeah. That's your era. I know you love that Judah Zachary era. Yeah. Um it would have it would have been interesting to see the eight what would have been interesting to see? The 1890s with Quentin as the werewolf and Petofi and everything, but not in black and white, but in do you remember how they used to photograph things that had almost like a sepia, like a
Yeah,
burnt brown color?
yeah.
Wouldn't it have been interesting to see the 1890s in that color they had then, which was like kind of like a sepia, like a brown and white, you
Oh
know?
my God.
That would have been interesting. You know what I'm talking about? Like the
Yeah,
photographs back then.
I've seen a couple. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been interesting because that was the color of the time of the
I love it.
1890s.
Now the reason I chose black and white for 95 is
I just knew
because,
you were going to pick that. Yeah.
and the reason is because of everything we see is so dark already. It's
Yeah.
I don't think it's needed, but imagine that whole thing in black and white where the mood is already dark.
Right.
Now the lighting is now changed to something even more darker, like black
Yeah.
and white. It would have just
It would have
because
been really frightening.
right, I
Even more
talked about
frightening than it
this
was. Even more
with
hopeless than
Patrick,
it
and
was.
I talked about this with Patrick. It felt like
Yeah.
George A. Romero was directing Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
What?
It did. It
Um,
did.
it's crazy. But
It did. That's a great pick. Yeah.
first of all, it has been a blast having you on.
Oh, it was a blast talking to you, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's an honor.
Is there anything you want to add before we go?
Just yeah, if you haven't watched some of those very early episodes we're talking about, give them a shot, you know.
Absolutely.
They're well worth your time, and I think if you'll learn to appreciate them the more you watch them,
Yeah.
because it's a very special time.
I think the one thing they'll learn too is you have to really watch not just again, yes, the facial expressions, the words, but
Hmm.
when there isn't words and you see the lighting start to change throughout the episodes,
Yeah.
it's done with a purpose.
Yes, it is. Yeah, look for that, and you'll see what Joel means. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just beautiful,
It
beautiful
is.
cinematography.
It really. I think that's the one thing. Dark Shadows doesn't get credit for a lot of things, but
Yeah,
its lighting and its cinematography and its use of lighting were
absolutely.
criminally great.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
But
and the black and white really emphasizes it, really accentuates it, because
what
you
is
can just.
I have Christine and Kara coming back on tomorrow Friday. When's the next time you can come back on, Melissa?
Oh wow. You know what? Anytime really.
Excellent.
Yeah. Why don't we do? Can we do maybe next Wednesday night?
Yeah, we'll do next one. I want to discuss the werewolf curse with you a bit.
Ooh, I would
We'll
love
do 18.
that.
We'll do 1897.
I would love that. I love David Selby. I love, werewolves is are my favorite monster. I love the Wolfman and Lon Chaney.
Now, you heard? Did you hear they're remaking it with I forget who it is.
Oh, I didn't know
That
that.
guy, the guy that was in the Driver movie,
Oh,
Ryan Phillippe, or
oh,
no,
Ryan Phillippe.
I think so.
Oh, Ryan Phillip or Philippi. Yeah, I know him. No, I did not. I have
So
yet to watch the Anthony. What's the one with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins?
yeah, the
I
Wolf.
have yet to watch that one. I really want to see
It's
it.
it's
Is it
okay.
good?
It's okay. It's not great.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
I
'Cause-
I won't spoil it for you, but they there's things in there I wish they wouldn't have did. I'll say that. I
Oh,
like
I'll
the
keep that in
effects.
mind.
I like the effects they pull off, but
See, I
again,
love the werewolves and man, the makeup in the 1890s. Boy, what they did. What
what's your
incredible talent.
what's your favorite werewolf movie?
Oh my gosh. Well, it has to be the Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah,
Gotta
that's
be.
really good. That's really good.
I love the classics.
I
You
watched that.
know,
That's really good.
it
Bela
is good.
Lugosi's in that too. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
my,
it's the gypsy.
mine's The Howling. Really, really creepy movie.
Oh, I'm gonna
Uh,
watch that. I gotta watch that. When was
I
that
think
made?
1981.
1981.
The
I'll have to
werewolf is
watch that.
more the protagonist in that movie than I think a lot of werewolf movies. So,
Interesting. And
um,
the Kolchak had a great werewolf. The
yes,
werewolf on a cruise ship.
yeah.
It was great.
Long before
I'll watch The Howling.
long before Jason boarded a ship.
Yeah, long before Jason. Can you imagine if Jason ran into a werewolf? Wow, that'd be interesting.
I remember when Mad TV did Jason Takes Apollo, and then they made Jason X. I was like, wait a minute. Oh my god. But for
That'd
Melissa
be intense.
Gallagher, it's been
Bye,
lots of
guys.
fun.
Yeah.
I will see you next Wednesday,
All right,
Melissa.
I
You
can't
have a
wait.
great rest
Thank
of your
you.
week.
You too, darling. Bye.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
guys. Bye.